Hi guys, Borjo here, back with another dungeon guide, this time for the Maw of Souls in World of Warcraft's Legion expansion. In this guide I'll be covering normal, heroic and mythic difficulties. Maw of Souls is arguably one of the shortest dungeons in Legion, with only 3 bosses, but for some groups the bosses can be a handful. Hopefully with this guide I can help those who are struggling to conquer the dungeon. Trash in here is generally uneventful if you know how to deal with each mob. The first pool contains the following: secured slavers and enslaved shield maidens. The slaver frees the shield maidens from the cages and will cast Fracture, a random direction AE for minimal damage. Swirling Mist, a ground based AE to move out of, and also they will harpoon a random party member and then cleave them with a small hit called Barbed Spear. The enslaved shield maiden will cast Hue Soul, a small dispellable dot, and Break Armor, a stacking armor debuff. Nothing to worry about, they die quickly. Be aware of the patrolling secured Soulkeeper, as he is a little more spicy than normal trash. His main attack is Defiant Strike, where he will face a direction and walk forward, attacking anything in his path. Be sure to avoid this. The bridge has 4 cursed folks above it. These respawn, so pull them across the bridge to the next pack, which contains 2 slavers and this time slaves. The slaves do minimal spell damage, so just AoE them out. The final trash pull is the pack to the right and not the giant pack near the boss. This pack contains a little of everything so far, so deal with it how you like. Then simply walk forward to start the fight against Imran, the Fallen King.
Another drop in the Sea of Souls.
This is a mechanically straightforward fight. Tanks, be aware of his Dark Slash ability. Ensure that you have active mitigation up for this hit. This ability is on a 15-second timer, so plan ahead for future hits. His second ability is Screams of the Dead, an AE fear you have time to run out from. If you fail, you'll take the damage listed and be feared for 5 seconds. Next up is Winds of Northrend, a small knockback and AE damage to the group. Nothing too exciting here. Lastly is Bane, on a 50-second cooldown. This ability will place purple void zones on the ground which orbit Imran. Touch in one will grant you the main damage listed, with the splash damage hitting everyone else, but will also despawn the void zone. On normal, just avoid these as best you can. However, on heroic and mythic, Bane will chain into Imran's last ability, Arise Fallen. This will summon some low hit points, around 2 million on mythic, skeletal adds from each remaining Bane pool. So grab all of these adds as a tank and AE them down. They only have one ability of note, which is called Vigor, which increases their damage by 10% and stacks. It's nothing to really worry about, however. If you struggle with the adds, then consider getting people to use personal cooldowns to soak Bane pools. Continue working through these mechanics till he's down. Have someone blow the horn and you'll be transported aboard the Naglfar, in cages. If it's your first time, enjoy the cutscene, otherwise click the cage to escape. The interior of the ship is a bit weird, the walls are kinda do and don't block line of sight sometimes, so be aware of the possibility for ninja pulls through walls. Trash down here is simple enough. The waterlogged soul guards will roll barrels around, which will do a small knockback and a bit of damage. Avoid if you can. They will also channel Soul Siphon on a party member. This heals them, so be sure to interrupt it. Head to the left and pull the 2 Seeker Swiftblades. The only thing to be concerned about here is when they disappear and summon decoys. The decoys will cast a frontal AoE till the mobs reappear. Be aware of them spawning on you and move if required. Next up are the Shroud Hounds. These will jump to a random party member for a little bit of damage. Save yourself a headache and have everybody stacked to maximise AE damage. Be aware of the patrolling Nightwatch Mariner, however. He will like to cast Lantern of Darkness, a very spicy mass AoE that is not interruptible. If you manage to get him too, focus him down, then finish off the remaining hounds. The Grime Walker is a zombie giant with a nice frontal breath AE. He will also put puke on the ground, which will expand over time, eventually filling the floor. Kill him before you run out of space. Oftentimes there is another patrol of hounds. Keep your eyes open. Follow the stairway up to find the final 2 mobs before the second boss. These are Helajar champions. The only thing you need to be aware of is Bone-Chilling Scream, an interruptible fear. Assign interrupts as both mobs will like to cast at the same time and then finish them off. Heading up the stairs will bring you face to face with the second boss, Harboron.
Bend and break, your soul I'll take.
Harboron is a DPS and heal check with ads which need to die to quickly prevent damage incoming. I find the best bet is to have your whole group stacked, as ads spawn at players' locations, and by being stacked you prevent lost DPS time from moving. Harboron himself has one ability to be aware of, Cosmic Scythe. This is a frontal line AE directed at a player. If you are all stacked you can sidestep this, however the damage isn't too high that it's unmanageable if you get hit. He will also summon a Shackled Servitor at a player's location. Once this spawns, immediately swap and kill this. It will cast Void Snap, which increases the shadow damage you take, so this needs to be interrupted at all times. Harboron will also fragment a player's soul, splitting it into 2 or 3 pieces. The targeted player will be hit with a 3-second stun and will start to take damage. Kill off all of the fragments to stop this player eventually dying to the damage. The last ability, which is only present on Heroic or Mythic, is Nether Rip. Harboron will crash a shadow damage AE onto a player doing damage in 4 yards, then continue damage should you not move out of it. This lasts for 30 seconds so space will become premium. Move together and avoid spreading too much to ensure a swift victory. Healers, be aware that your group will take damage in chunks as Nether Rip hits, and the target of fragment will take tons of damage. Once he's down you're at the home stretch. Choose a staircase and trigger the mob spawns. The boat deck only contains a couple of new mob types, namely Helajar Mistmenders and Mistcallers. Neither do anything too chaotic, but you will need to interrupt them when they cast either Torrent of Souls, Whirlpool of Souls or Surging Waters. These mobs can be stunned if required. However, if you also have a Helajar champion in the pack that you've pulled, Bone-Chilling Scream takes interrupt priority to stop pulling more ads. Burn through all the mobs anyway and proceed to the front of the boat for a mini boss encounter with Skjal. He will constantly summon skeletons from the mist, so AE grab them but burn him down. When he casts Debilitating Shout, interrupt it. This will generally come after his other ability, Give No Quarter, which ports him to a random party member. As long as your interrupts are on point, then this isn't an issue. Drop down to the front of the ship to engage the final boss, Helya, in a 2-phase fight.
You all will regret trespassing in my realm!
Another mechanically simple fight. During phase 1, you must kill 6 tentacles to force Helya to phase 2. The tentacles come in 2 varieties, Destructor and Grasping. Grasping tentacles will be on the outside of the ship attached to the side, while Destructors spawn on the deck. Tanks must always be in melee with the Destructor tentacle to stop them casting Smash. Destructor tentacles will however hit the tank with Rapid Rupture, so some attention from healers may be required at this time. If a Destructor tentacle is spawned, focus it down before swapping to Grasping tentacles. Grasping tentacles don't cast anything, and the hitbox on them is pretty large so you can melee them from fairly far away. Helya won't be passive during this phase however. She will place a dot on a player called Taint of the Sea. This will explode for group-wide damage on removal, be that from timing out or from dispel. On Heroic and Mythic difficulties this will then leave a ground AE called Tainted Essence, which will explode and hit all those in 5 yards for the damage listed. On normal difficulty, Helya will also cast Torrent. This hits for minor frost damage. On Heroic and Mythic this is replaced with Brackwater Barrage, an AE which covers either the left or right side of the ship for moderate damage. Avoid this if you can, however you can defensive through it. You can tell where it will be hit by looking at Helya, it's fairly obvious. The last thing that will happen is random piercing tentacles will erupt from below the deck, dealing damage and leaving a hole behind. Stepping into this hole will stun you for a few seconds and deal damage. Avoid as best as you can. Once you have killed 6 tentacles, Helya will submerge and go into her intermission phase. The piercing tentacles will continue, but also a new attack called Turbulent Waters. Just stand in a relatively safe location and dodge AEs till Helya appears and smashes the front of the boat, taking you to the final phase. In the final phase, you'll still have to deal with Taint of the Sea, but now with less room. Helya will not move from the front middle of the boat, and just like Destructor Tentacles, someone must always be in melee, otherwise she will cast Wing Buffet. This can quickly lead to death. Helya will also cast Torrent, the same thing that's from Phase 1 in normal, and this is interruptible now, so sort out a rotation and hit all that you can. As with most interruptible abilities that do damage, try to hit it at the end of the cast, to prevent any other abilities from firing, and to prevent extra auto attacks on the tank. The main ability from now on though is Corrupted Bellow. This is a cone AE which will hit either the left side, centre or right side of the ship. Helya will turn and face the side, or stay looking forward when she does this. I would advise the group stack centrally to Helya, so that if it's a left or right side call, you won't need to move much, but if it's a centre call, you only have to move to one side. Once one has gone off, you can kind of see the edge of the AEs and position yourself accordingly to move as little as possible. Continue dodging these abilities till either you die or she is defeated. Be aware that she may submerge again after some time and you'll encounter the intermission mechanics again. And that's it guys, hopefully this will help any that might be having issues with this place. If you found it helpful then consider hitting that subscribe button or leaving a like. I'm Borgio, I'll see you next time.